How can a powerful alien teacher, promising to destroy Earth, using their failed students, be capable of stopping this massacre? A new threat emerges on the globe, and the army is preparing to neutralize this invasion. The creatures hide out, and gradually the soldiers approach their goal. However, when they eventually made it, several tentacles emerge to assault them. The men despair and begin shooting, but some end up being eliminated one by one. Weeks later, the same monster attacked the soldiers while teaching the teacher at a high school class. It most resembled the outcome of a cross between an octopus and Pac-Man's attendance in the class. His students used rubber bullets to try to destroy him, but how did a bunch of teenagers end up in this story? Well, it all started when they entered their final year of school. They belonged to Class 3E, which was made up of the lowest performing students in the entire Kunigagioka school. Class A, on the other hand, is the elite that, according to the principal, has a bright future ahead of them. As punishment for low grades, the entire Class E was sent to an abandoned building. The principal's excuse for making this decision is that in this way, they could not interfere in the development of the other students. When they arrive in the classroom, they get a big surprise. The students discover that their new teacher is none other than an alien who destroyed part of the moon and intended to do the same to Earth by graduation. Tomomi Kurosama, a member of Japan's Ministry of Defense, has informed the students that their mission is to eliminate the professor before graduation, or the entire world would be destroyed. But there was a problem. That thing was exceedingly swift. No professional agent was present capable of landing a single strike on the yellow monster. He tells the class that he has reached an agreement with the government in which he claims not to mind being slain, as long as he can be the teacher for Class E. Tomomi then introduces the bullets and knives developed by the Ministry of Defense. These weapons were made of a special material that was harmless to humans, but had a lethal effect on that monster, demonstrating that he was telling the truth. The professor takes the gun from the man's hand and shoots himself in the tentacle. The students are scared to witness that scene, but in a few seconds the creature regenerates and a new limb is born, in place of the one that had been ripped off. The agent reveals that no one knows why the alien made that deal with the government, but states that the students are safe as their teacher had promised. He would never hurt them. Finally, the man says that the reward that will be given to the person who successfully eliminates that monster and saves the Earth will be 10 billion yen, which is equivalent to 77 million. Since then, Tomomi has become the assistant teacher and will be able to train. In addition to him, there are other students. Her name is Irina Yilovich, and she is a highly skilled agent sent to kill her powerful entity that threatened the planet, but even with the assistance of a minigun, the woman did not even come close to succeeding in her operation during class breaks. Tomomi would train the students, and little by little, their combat skills were improving. Giza, one of the members of that class, studied all his teacher's weaknesses from the moment he got into that class. He even realized that his face could change color based on his mood that day. 3 of his colleagues tried to convince him to take part in a plan that, according to them, would mean the boy thought it was foolproof. It is not yet the right time to move. However, he eventually gave in to the pressure of his classmates and the class. As things progress, Nagisa informs the teacher he has completed his activity and gets up to take the task to him. He walks with the knife concealed in his hands. But when he tries to strike the giant octopus, his attack is neutralized. Nagisa then hugs the teacher, and seconds later, a bomb explodes. Some students celebrate, believing they have finally put an end to that freak. Kayano and the other colleagues try to help the boy and ask what Ryo had done. They reveal that they made a grenade filled with special rubber bullets. The plan was to kill the professor with those bullets while Nagisa would leave with only minor injuries. Looking to the other side, the students notice a membrane that covers the monster's entire body. They searched for the body but quickly discovered that the big yellow head had not suffered a scratch and was actually hiding on the room's ceiling. He listened to the entire conversation. It is revealed that he can change his skin once a month. The skin is extremely tough and takes the entire impact of the blast. He managed to get out. The monster was unharmed. Extremely upset with Ryo, who had hatched that plan to put Nagisa's, he causes his face to turn red, and within a few seconds, he goes to the house of the parents of each of those 3 students and steals their nameplates. The professor claims that due to the deal he made with the government, he couldn't hurt them, but if they put the lives of other colleagues at risk again, their family members would suffer the consequences. After making the threat of lecturing the students, he asks everyone to return to their seats, and it continues. Kayano asks the professor if he has a name, but the alien claims he does not, hence, she suggests that the students affectionately nickname him Koro-sensei. Everyone likes the idea, especially the professor himself. That would become his name later. That same day, when Tadam arrives at school, he sees the students assembled around the basketball hoop. Koro-sensei was trapped in it. Arena arrives soon after, and they both ask the students what's going on. The students report that they planted the trap the day before and managed to arrest the teacher while spinning from side to side. The net comes loose, and Koro-sensei is knocked down. The students take the opportunity to shoot him, but the crazy octopus is faster and, in the blink of an eye, appears on the roof of the school. At that point, a new member arrives at school. His name is Akabane Karma. He was removed from Class A because of his violent behavior. The boy glues together a few pieces of anti-teacher stuff in his right hand, and evaluates its effectiveness in welcoming. When his new sensei arrives, Koro-sensei is in the classroom the following day. I was astonished to discover an octopus stabbed on his desk. Karma apologizes for what transpired and claims to have slain the animal, believing it was his teacher. At that time, the alien approaches the boy, and says he'll show him the power of those tentacles. First he uses the octopus as an ingredient to make takoyaki and stuff. The dumpling in the boy's mouth even takes the opportunity to glue fake nails on him later on the way home. Nagisa meets his new classmate quite reflectively. The young man remembers an episode that happened while he still belonged to Class A after a fight he had with boys from another school. His principal approaches and states that even if Karma gets into fights easily, he will always be by his side. Noticing that Nagisa is nearby, he says that, despite being a bit strange, Koro-sensei is a good teacher, but still, they have orders to kill him. Just then, the professor appears and advises them to keep improving their combat skills. Karma then asks if the professor is willing to risk his life to protect one of his students. The monster says yes. The boy makes a bold decision. The boy pulls out his revolver and jumps on Cliff's plan to shoot Koro-sensei. He tries to save him while free-falling. Karma remembers the day he beat up 3 types of bullies that are embarrassing to a classy youngster, as he learned. Upon learning what had occurred, the principal disapproved of him for attacking Elite. As a punishment, he was transported to class while Koro-sensei utilized his tentacles to construct a web and stop the boy from falling. In this way, he was able to save his student without running the risk of being killed. The boy is taken back to the surface, and frustrated, he leaves the Ministry of Defense. The president says that in the last 2 months since that thing arrived on the planet, Japan has been getting attacked with missiles from several countries, but they ended up being saved by the alien octopus. The president even says that he intends to leave Tadami in charge of dealing with this situation. But as there has been no improvement, he decided to send a fresh student to put an end to this. The following day, during class, we discovered that this new pupil was actually a robot equipped with artificial intelligence. His goal was to destroy an alien teacher, but under no circumstances would it hurt a student. For its initial attack, the mad robot uses machine guns to try to eliminate Koro-sensei. As expected, its blows have no effect, but that machine has the excellent ability to learn and evolve during the classes. The machine continued to apply its attacks, and caused great dissatisfaction among the other students, who could barely pay attention to what was being taught. In the end, it still needed to clean up all the mess left by the robot, but on the other hand, the machine was managing to advance its mission. Due to its high learning ability, it now had a 0.0001% chance of knocking out the teacher on the next hit, if it continued to evolve like this until graduation. That number would increase to 90%. However, this proportion means nothing to the students' main worry, which is that they stopped being bothered in class. So as a means to keep the robot from continuing to shoot, they chain it, blocking the machine from utilizing its weapons after class. Koro-sensei approaches his newest student, and demonstrates a stack of papers with information from all his students in the best way the robot could. Study its colleagues to know the best way to deal with them and have a good relationship. The next morning, when they arrive at school, students receive a notification on their phones. When they open the message, the artificial intelligence informs them that it has decided to make an app of itself to facilitate interaction with its colleagues. It also indicates that it will no longer attempt to eliminate the teacher alone and will endeavor to learn to work as a team. Kayano again suggests a name for the new classmate. Everyone agrees to call it Ritsu. The robot announces that a new pupil has transferred and is about to arrive. The school just a few seconds after Koro-sensei enters the room with white hair. A child falls from the ceiling, and then a man enters. A beekeeper in overalls enters the room and asks the boy to use the door next time. He introduces himself as Shiro, the boy's guardian, and apologizes for what happened. Risu informs his classmates that this is the hero, Itona, and that they train together at the special agent school. The boy claims to be stronger than everyone there, and challenges Koro-sensei to a battle. The professor accepts the duel, and Shiro establishes a single rule that says that the first to leave the space delimited by the desks would lose. As soon as the battle begins, in his first attack, Itona is able to rip off one of the professor's tentacles. The boy surprises everyone by revealing tentacles coming out of his head. Koro-sensei notices that the boy's tentacles are still developing. A remembrance of his past creates a situation where the teacher is enraged and the professor dodges everything of the boy's blows and sheds his skin. Stop the attacks. Here's the second time in the same month that he deployed his hidden defense. While clinging to the ceiling, his tentacles regenerate, and Professor Octopus has his energy running low because he can't dodge the next strike and takes a beating from that boy after recuperating. After the blows, he admits that this is the first time he has encountered an opponent on his level. However, he does not give up easily. Koro-sensei uses the rubber knife developed by the Ministry of Defense to weaken his enemy, as his tentacles are made of the same material as the octopus's body. As the boy had his tentacles hurted, his speed also decreased, and the teacher took the opportunity to launch Atona out of the classroom, although he was not injured as he was protected by the professor's skin. The boy was out of the ring, therefore, he lost the fight. Shiro then takes his disciple and leaves, with the promise that they will be back soon. At the end of class, Nagisa and Kayano approach them. The teacher will inquire as to why he chose to become a classes teacher at that time. Koro-sensei admits that he did it to satisfy him. He made a promise to someone, but he still couldn't say who that individual was. Is the commitment he made next to Nagisa asking if they can do anything? Now be able to eliminate the alien. A professor, someday faced with this Koro-sensei, suggests that students spend their weekends at school. Study, just as he would stay at the school, he would have one more chance. Students should be able to eliminate him. The class accepts the idea, and the teacher names that weekend activity the assassination training camp. Koro-sensei uses his super speed to teach each student separately specific lessons to help them with the subjects they had the most difficulty with that night. Tatomi receives a call from his superior, who informs him of the arrival of a new coach the next morning. Soon after, Koro-sensei arrives at Tatomi's room, and when asked about his love life, he becomes reflective and recalls the moment he lost his beloved as agreed. The next morning, Tako Akira arrives at the school and announces that he will become Classy's new coach, but before starting training, he takes breakfast to the students, who quickly enjoy their new sensei later. Arina goes to talk with Tatomi and discusses her former army companion. Takuya explains that his teaching strategy is to become closer to his students, and make them assume that they are a similar family. The problem here is that shortly after he started his dictatorship, he even used violence against the students. The second day of training starts, and Takuya asks the students to run 20 laps. Kanzaki begins to feel unwell and falls. The trainer asks if the girl is okay. Says she can't take it any longer. Prefers to train with Mr. Tatomi. At that moment, the man stands up and slaps the girl. All the students gather and ask the teacher to release their classmate, but the man is determined to teach her a lesson. However, before he can land the second blow, Tatomi appears and grabs his fist. He orders that psychopath to leave his students alone. Takuya claims that Tatomi's training methods are not effective, which is why those youngsters were so feeble, so he asked the man to select his best student will battle with him, and he promises that if the chosen kid is able to place the knife on his body, he will declare defeat and depart. That school, Tatomi, picks Nagisa. However, the boy is not required to participate if he doesn't want to. However, the majority of students did not even suspect Nagisa had a natural talent for killing the boy. Manages to hide this ability very well behind his easygoing personality, but inside he has a thirst for blood. When he's facing Takuya, the boy can't hide his joy at having to attack him. He smiles and walks towards the man, who is completely confident, but when he looks at the boy's face, he is totally speechless. In that instant, Nagisa puts the knife into the coach's neck and knocks him down. The man gets extremely angry and demands a rematch. He couldn't accept losing to a brat like that, but Nagisa reminded him about the deal, and he thanked her. Takuya for his teachings, but requests that man admit defeat and depart. Humiliated, he decides to depart. The students thank Nagisa for gaining. Get rid of that crazed psychopath. It's a rainy day, classes proceed as usual. Koro-sensei is late, and when he arrives and enters the room, everyone notices something is wrong with him. The face of the octopus was entirely swollen. The skull was swollen because it had been absorbed. The majority of water science classes were about to start, and Okuda asked her teacher to swallow the poison. She used all of her abilities to prepare everyone for mocking the girl for her naivety. Koro-sensei decides to drink that weird liquid. As he does so, his face turns pale and suddenly horns begin to grow on his head. Finally, his entire body turns white as if frozen, but he quickly returns to normal and praises Okuda for having made such a powerful poison based on sodium hydroxide, a substance fatal to humans but harmless to him. Finally, he says that he will be happy to teach her how to make an even stronger poison, and upon ingesting it, his body becomes thin as a blade, and Koro-sensei uses this new form to run away, while his students try to catch him. A few minutes later, he returns to normal, and asks the students to call Professor Tatomi and Professor Rina and gather in the schoolyard. Koro-sensei says to the students that a good agent always has a plan B to apply to the mission. His scheme fails unexpectedly, and the teacher shoots off like a rocket and quickly returns to school, wrecking everything around him. He had just held a bomb in mid-air. The extraterrestrial then guides the students back, enters the classroom and informs them that for the following tests, they will need to collect their knowledge, and create a perfect plan to destroy him and help. With this quest, he promises to allow students who receive the highest scores in each topic to demolish one of his tentacles, with each lost one. His speed has reduced, and the students may be able to successfully eliminate him. Increases in this way. Koro-sensei provided an excellent incentive for his students to dedicate themselves even more to their studies at the end of the class. As the students returned to their homes, the teacher decided to give Nakamura, his best English student, a hands-on experience of the language, so Koro-sensei takes her to the United States, where she could have direct contact with English. Then it takes Karma, the top math student, to calculate the height of the Great Wall of China, and Kayano went to Italy to find out the leaning angle of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. In this way all students were able to live an academic experience outside Japan. Koro-sensei was able to complete his graduation photo album after the exam. Nakamura, Okuda and Karma were the ones who got the highest grades in English, science, and mathematics, so each of the three might damage one of their teacher's tentacles on the day of the final exam. The following day, the pupils prepared to carry out the strategy to remove Koro-sensei. They created all of the structures crucial for their success. Mission that night, while watching the students reflect on the fireworks, whether they really needed to murder Koro-sensei or not, regardless of what they liked, their teacher needed to be eliminated. He unexpectedly saved the globe. Koro-sensei appears and claims to be looking forward to seeing their performance the next day. Finally, the big day arrives, and the students prepare to start the operation. After picking up their weapons, they head to the place of execution. Koro-sensei is tied up with the rest of the. It is revealed that the gang didn't miss a single detail, and they were all eager to get their reward. Nagisa reveals that after cutting off his tentacles, Koro-sensei will be thrown into a bathtub full of water. On the rainy day, the boy realizes that water is one of the alien octopus weaknesses. The students prepare to shoot and tear off the teacher's tentacles, then gallons of water are thrown towards. Finally, two students approach and shoot 3 rubber rounds directly into the monster's face when Koro-sensei was going to be hit. An explosion occurred, and the octopus disappeared shortly after the students. I managed to find him, but his whole body was gone. All that remained was his head, which was wrapped in a high-density crystallized pellicle capable of protecting him from any external forces. Not even special bullets were able to influence him. That was Koro-sensei's absolute defense, which could not be broken even by a nuclear bomb. That energy crystal would not last longer than 24 hours, so students consider filling the pool with anti-teacher bullets and putting him within. The pellicle broke. The octopus would be destroyed upon contact with the bullets, but Koro-sensei claims that if that happens, he can explode again and expel all the bullets before being affected by them. Suddenly, without any explanation, some students begin to faint, and Kayano realizes that they have a very high fever. Minutes later, Takuya and his gang show up, and the man informs them that before leaving, he put a virus in some students' drinks. He even says that once the virus is inside their bodies, they will die within 3 days unless they take the antidote. In this case, obviously, he was the only one who had the antidotes against that virus. Takuya reveals that he is there seeking revenge, because Nagisa has helped him become a laughingstock at the Ministry of Defense. It makes him barely sleep at night. Takuya explains that he will only hand over the antidote if the boy gives it to Nagisa, who does not want to be a teacher. Do that to worsen things. Etona arrives and strikes the boy. Tatomi tries to save him, but ends up getting hurt. The youngster is there to have his rematch. Facing Koro-sensei, Karma pulls Nagisa in, and they both run away to try to stop their teacher from being taken. Etona goes after him, and Takuya escapes with his men, taking the antidotes, while the other students try to help their sick classmates. Karma and Nagisa climb a tower in an attempt to hide from the boy. However, the boy finds them and uses his tentacles to destroy the ladder they were climbing up, and Nagisa then threw the sphere to his friend, who was soon caught by the boy. Etona manages to catch him using his sphere, which he uses instead of tentacles. Attack the boy. Karma keeps trying to run away till he is knocked. In that time, Nagisa manages to hold onto the tower until the ladder totally destroys the red-haired lad. Surrenders and promises to hand over the sphere. The teacher approaches the youngster, but he launches the sphere at his companion instead, and Etona quickly releases him. Tentacles will attack him, but what he did not expect is that at that moment it starts to rain, and with his body wet and the boy loses his powers. Koro-sensei praises the students for their plan. The boys knew it was going to rain at that time, so they chose that day to eliminate their teacher, who was Plan B. The octopus states that if Edina is still interested, he will be very welcome to join the E-class. Just then, the boys receive a message from Ritsu, who informs them about what is happening at the school. Nagisa appears with a bag in his hands and Takuya. As they're waiting for him, the man informs him that his plan to eliminate the professor is underway. He intends to bury him in a cement tub, filled with special bullets, along with Kayano. The teacher couldn't explode to eliminate the bullets. Because if he does, he will end up killing a student. Takuya orders Nagisa to hand over the monster, but the boy begs the man to allow Class C students will eliminate the teacher with their own hands, since that's not what Takuya was trained for. Instead, he felt moved by the boy's appeal, takes advantage of the fact that he bends down and stomps on his head, facing all this humiliation. Nagisa hears a message from Ritsu, arriving on his phone and smiles. The boy hands Koro-sensei to Takuya, but when he removes the bag, the man realizes that it was actually just a soccer ball. At that moment, the rest of the students approach and trap those men in the concrete that they built themselves. Koro-sensei congratulates Okuda for being able to make the antidote, for her classmates and Nagisa for his good performance, even when he was being humiliated. Minutes later, military helicopters approach and take all the students and teachers to their base. They intend to execute a strategy to eliminate Koro-sensei while he is still inside the sphere, so the alien cannot move. The Ministry of Defense creates a sanctuary, where the monster will be unable to get out. Even if it detonated, they plan to fill the area with anti-teacher balls. But first, they let the octopus speak. His final remarks to his students were, they all focus their attention on the screen while they listen to their teacher. In the latest speech, the evil creature congratulates students on their performances. And growing along this journey, he says that there is no greater happiness than seeing them grow, and he ends by thanking them for the opportunity to be their teacher. Quickly, the entire sphere is covered by the special bullets, and the countdown to the explosion begins. When this finally happens, the shelter stays intact, and everybody believes that the alien has destroyed the students. Burst into tears, because they did not want to accept the death of their teacher. Nagisa in tears, then yellow tentacles emerged from behind him, and handed him a tissue. Nagisa looks back and is surprised to see Koro-sensei, and the other soldiers retreat in despair, but Tatomi remains happy to find that his coworker is still relieved. The kids return to their school routine, which consisted of morning views of the giant yellow octopus. And do you believe Class 3E will be able to eliminate Koro-sensei by graduation? Or will the alien professor succeed in destroying the Earth? Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, take care and bye now.